So this video is about who is in the room with you while you're breastfeeding, and I don't mean by that somebody's hiding behind a potted plant or tucked behind the curtains. Instead, I just wanted to share with you some of the different organizations and some of the different people or bodies that are interested in speaking into your breastfeeding relationship. And ultimately, because of the way that they're going about that, they are influencing women to an incredible degree. And if you know that they're in the room with you, you can make a little bit more of a conscious decision about whether you follow their advice or their way to feeding your baby, or if you follow your own. And so here are some things to know about. First of all, obviously, there's your own immediate circle of influence, your friends, your families, and the community that you live in. And so your mom, your grandma, your mother-in-law, like there are so many people that might want to speak into, you should feed your baby like this. This is how I did it. These were the expectations in my time. I got asked by a random person on the street if I was breastfeeding, none of their business, but people feel the need to speak into that. So you have your immediate circle of influence. But the next one, and I would suggest the most powerful one because of how far-reaching their opinion goes, the insurance companies. Insurance companies, ultimately they're a business and it comes down to money. They don't want to pay out, and some of the most uncomfortable tragedies to pay out for are when a baby passes away or when a mother passes away. And so taking a look at breastfeeding, it's suggested then, okay, well, if this doesn't go well, the baby has the possibility of passing away. That is very real, and yet because they see the tragedies and they see the things they have to pay out for, they've taken action and influenced the direction of policies, procedures, creation of resources to try and avoid those tragedies, but in such a way that it really ultimately protects them from having to pay out. Some of the things that they've had influence over are kind of frightening. Things like how doctors have been educated, how midwives have been educated, how governing colleges regulate the healthcare professionals that they oversee, including, and this really was a frustrating part of our journey, influence in things like the development of growth charts. It would be wonderful to think that that was an independently done thing, and so it really is focused on these are the healthy growth curves for babies, and as long as babies follow this, this is what tells us if they're okay or not okay. And that couldn't be farther from the truth, because the number of babies who don't follow those growth curves and they were perfectly healthy the entire time is incredible. There are so many babies that don't follow that pattern, but because those are the tools that we focus on, well, all these parents in the first few weeks of their child's life, when they are overwhelmed and excited and exhausted, and it's just, this is a big time in their life, they are then also bombarded from multiple directions with your baby's not following the growth curve. This level of panic begins to build, and parents feel pressured to change their original plan for how they wanted to feed their child. All of a sudden, tools such as formula, breast pumps, or other things start to show up on the scene that they hadn't originally wanted as part of the picture. And are these tools sometimes needed? Yes. Pumps are not bad. Formula is not bad. They have saved lives in that there have been limited situations where just the system wasn't quite working the way that it was intended to, and so baby couldn't get the resources that they needed. So they're good, they're life-saving, but are you kidding me? They are so misused. They are so overly used. There is so much pressure to use them in situations where they weren't necessary, and growth charts are a huge part of that problem. And ultimately, why do we say that babies grow like this? Well, because if they grow along these patterns, we don't have to worry. And ultimately, who is it who doesn't have to worry? It's the insurance company, okay? So with that in mind, insurance companies, they are pretty much the biggest elephant, the biggest presence in the room while you are breastfeeding. And if you know that, and you start to see the connections and influence they have with other people that you're interacting with, that can help to give you a little bit of peace and calm, help to detach yourself from some of the crazy train suggestions that you might get, and make the best decisions that are good for your family. So the insurance companies are in the room, including or along with that, governing colleges for your healthcare professionals. They are tightly tied to the insurance companies. They know how much they are paying for insurance. They know what a malpractice suit costs. And to go along with that, well, if there was any kind of insurance payout, chances are there's a healthcare professional who's on the line for having not caught the problem. And no doctor, no midwife, no healthcare professional wants to be that person sitting on a court stand explaining why that baby who was under their care passed away. So in attempting to avoid those situations, it's not unusual for the governing colleges to push for their healthcare professionals to follow certain practices, which the insurance companies are very happy about. And it's not unusual for a doctor or a midwife, anybody who is a healthcare professional overseeing your child, to push for the extreme measures of how do we stay extra safe? How do we make sure that a lawsuit is not even remotely ever in question, ever on the horizon? Now, obviously, making sure that your baby is healthy and safe and strong, these are the priorities. So I'm not saying put your child at risk. What I am saying is that they can change the conversation so easily from, well, your baby's not following this particular tool, but looking at them, they've got the right color, the right temperature, they are awake and alert, and they're fully responsive, they're following their developmental markers. When you look at the child, if they are healthy and the healthcare professional is excited, that's awesome. That's what we're looking for. And so just a flag that you can look for if you're wondering, is my healthcare professional being influenced by these external factors? Watch and see when they check out your child, are they happy with what they see? And then do they turn to a resource, so a chart or a graph, an article, and then go, and then turn back to your child and go, okay, here's what's wrong, here are the concerns. If they look at your baby first and the baby in front of them is healthy, and then something else tells them your baby is not okay, and then they come back with okay, here are the strategies for how to fix it. They're being influenced by an external resource when the baby right in front of them is displaying all the signs of health. If your doctor was really happy with what they saw, start off with that, okay? The tools, the growth charts, all that other stuff, they are helpful tools. They are meant to start a conversation, a very valuable conversation. But you then go, okay, yep, they're not on their curve and the baby looks healthy. Here are the things we're going to look for. If they change color, temperature, they're no longer alert. If you see any signs of being lethargic, they're just kind of sitting there drooping. You can't really do anything with them. They don't interact. Look for the warning signs, because we can see, this is a different pattern than this tool suggests. But no panic. Just be prepared to look for those signs, and otherwise celebrate that you have a healthy baby. That is awesome. So I wish that healthcare professionals were in a place that they could just celebrate healthy babies with us, but they have all these external influencers, and so they become external influencers themselves, telling parents, I think you need to make these changes so that their governing college stays off their back, and ultimately the insurance company is happy with them as well, okay? To go along with that, who else wants to have a say in your breastfeeding relationship? Breast pump companies, because if you can be convinced that things aren't going well and that you need an external tool to help you, guess who makes a little bit of money from that? So breast pumps, are they bad? Absolutely not. Are they helpful tools? They can be, of course, if they are the right fit and they match with your family's goals, what your family wants to achieve with your breastfeeding relationship with your baby. But if they're not a good fit and you feel pressured to use one, ultimately they benefit from that. So just if people happen to put a little bit of pressure on you, I don't really see a lot of evidence that the breast pump companies are trying to stop that. And if anything, there's a lot of language and a lot of things that just suggest breast pump companies are helping to fuel the fire of new parents feeling freaked out about their child's health. And maybe a breast pump would help you out with that. Same thing for formula companies. Is formula bad? Absolutely not. Has it been a life-saving tool? It absolutely has, and I'm very grateful that it is a resource available. However, heavily misused, heavily overused. The number of families that are using it because they felt they had to, not because they chose it as the best fit for their family, but who felt pressured to, is insane. It is not okay. So who else is sitting in the room with you? Formula companies who know if you feel like your breastfeeding relationship is not playing out the way that it needs to, then, if you buy formula to supplement or to switch to, that's too bad, and we're just going to pocket that. I don't see evidence that the formula companies are trying to reduce the amount of pressure that families feel to switch to formula. And again, just if you take a look at connections behind the scene, I can highly encourage you, take a look at tracing lines back, who is connected to who. It can be so easy to go, there's this company and there's this company, so obviously they have nothing to do with each other, so there's no connection. But when you look at who is owned by who and you trace it back, who financially benefits from things, well, actually a lot of these companies are all owned by the same people. I saw a really interesting chart. It was showing, America is owned by these 20 companies. And you looked at the symbols and went, oh my goodness, you saw the logos for all the companies that they own, so ultimately where all the income goes to. And it's crazy. Like, North America is owned by very few people. It's kind of crazy. But with that in mind, so there are people who know, well, hey, if I influence this and if I sell this and if I publish a study over here, a lot of pressure can be put on new parents to feel like they need formula, like they need pumps. And so ultimately it then goes to those companies and the income starts trickling in. And rather than saying trickle in, it's a friggin' tsunami. Go to any pharmacy and see how big the formula section is. Here's what I strongly think is that if it's meant to be a life-saving tool, or that's what it was originally developed as, is my understanding. And if there are families that want to use it, but it's not a life-saving thing, it's more just we honestly feel this is the best fit for our family, I think it would be great if that was actually kept behind the counter of the pharmacy. So behind the counter of the pharmacy, there are things that are prescription. I don't think formula needs a prescription, but they also keep things back there that this is a controlled substance, just meaning we want to talk to you before you buy it. My understanding is iron supplements are back there. It's too easy to hurt yourself with an iron supplement. So you just have to ask the pharmacist for it. No prescription, just talk, and then you get to buy it. I think that would be great for formula. What if you had to talk to a pharmacist first and double check that, yeah, is this the right fit? Okay, yeah, here's how to use it properly so it's the best fit for your family, and here you go. If you want it, you can have it. But what if we got it off the shelves so there weren't, 8 racks of baby formula essentially saying you should be feeding your baby this way? Sorry, personal pet peeve. Somebody's making money off of it, and I'll say it this way. I think there's a special level in hell for anyone who interferes with a family's breastfeeding relationship on purpose for the purpose of making money. If there's anyone out there watching this video that you have any influence and you know that you're making money off of freaking families out and getting them to stop breastfeeding their babies, what are you doing with your life? Would you please reevaluate and put your skills and your gifts and your abilities to a better use, please? Breastfeeding relationships are too beautiful. They're too sacred. They're too amazing to parents. Please don't take that away from them, okay? So just... I'll leave that. That's the end of that particular rant. The last thing, so taking a look at who else is in the room, is just anybody with an opinion and transparency. I'm making a video about this. I'm trying to speak into your breastfeeding relationship, trying to support you. So there are YouTube videos, there are blogs, there are parenting magazines, there are all these different resources out there. In the end, you as the breastfeeding mother, you as the parents of this child are going to have to figure out what's the best fit for you and what resources out there best support what you are trying to achieve for your child. So it just means that you have to wade through a lot of things often before you find the one where you can go, yes, you and I understand each other. This is my resource. And I'll share with you one that I found that just was incredible. Kelly Mom, kellymom.org. Is a wonderful website. She is a lactation consultant, and she was one of the few online resources that I found where she had her head screwed on straight anytime I felt overwhelmed and bombarded by stuff that just felt like it was taking my beautiful, simple breastfeeding relationship and making it insane. When I went back to her articles, it was just this beautiful, calming experience of, oh, that makes sense. This is actually supporting breastfeeding. This is... Thank you, Kelly Mom. So actually, Kelly Mom, if you ever see this video, thank you so much, because you honestly helped our family to not only reach our original goal, but to surpass it. And you made it possible for me to have that fulfilling experience as a mom, breastfeeding my child. And so if I could give you a hug right now, I totally would. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so, moms, I encourage you, kellymom.org is an awesome resource to check out if you need it. So, as you're sitting there with your baby, know that there are a bunch of people that want to speak into your relationship. But ultimately, whatever anybody else tries to say, you have the ability to go, nope, turn the volume down, turn it off. It's just me and my baby. This space is for me and my baby, and we're going to figure out what's the best fit for us. Our family is going to figure out how do we keep our child healthy and strong and safe. What resources are we going to choose to make use of to support that? And with that, just all the best to you as you figure that out. I hope that as you travel through your breastfeeding journey, that you feel supported, that you feel surrounded by a beautiful support network who are cheering you on and support your approach to keeping your child healthy. So blessings to you and your family. All the best.